Hello and welcome everybody to another bonus episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. I am your host Kiki and I am here as always joined by
Pia. Hello.
Hi Pia, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine. I just recovered from COVID after our last recording or during our last recording with Joko. I was negative, and 2 days after that, my test was positive, and that lasted for 12 days. In the first days, it was not so good. I spent one whole day just in bed, and the other days were like, oh, I feel not so good. But then the second half was, oh, damn, I'm not allowed to do anything besides going for a walk, and that's it. And that was kind of boring then. So, yeah. But now I feel better. I think you can still hear in my voice that it sounds a little different, but I hope that will go away and I will go back to my normal speaking voice soon.
Yes. It's interesting because it's been 3 years since the pandemic started and you had avoided the virus for so long. So, too bad that you couldn't, keep the title of never having had it.
Yes, that's true. But how are you?
I am all right. It's April. We are recording on Sunday, Easter Sunday, April 9th. March was a shit show of a month. So
yes,
it's getting better. Sad news on my side as well. I mean, I also had the third COVID. We spoke about that in the last episode. Sad news on my end is that my kitty cat, Stinky, is getting old and has gotten one of those old kitty cat sicknesses.
Oh,
His
no.
kidneys are failing. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
They're not yet failing, but they are functioning only at like 25% capacity. So he has to get medicine every day now just to keep the kidneys functioning at their best. We haven't changed his diet just yet because he had been picky with the food already. And the vet said that when they have kidney illnesses, they start eating less anyway. So whatever he's eating, we should keep it that way. If we can handle everything with the medicine, if things don't get better, we will have to change his diet and keep an eye out on that from now on. It's just really sad because he's like very lethargic, very sleepy. He's not the evil Stinky that he used to be. And it's even sadder because I'm just now noticing that. And kidney function by 25%, it's not like it's something new and sudden that just started. I had noticed that he drinks a lot of water for the past months, maybe half a year. But it also didn't cross my mind that that could be a symptom. So let this be a cautionary tale. If any of you out there has kitty cats and they are turning 7 years or older, take them to the vet every year to check their kidneys. It's very easy with just a little blood test, and they should get their kidneys checked up so that doesn't happen.
But it's good that everything works with the medicine until now. So sometimes it's very difficult to give them stuff because they don't want to, quote unquote, eat it.
Yeah, it's liquid. It's a liquid medicine that I have to give him with right in his mouth, right, with a syringe. And he's always been a trooper. I've always been the one to give him his medicine, his eye drops when he had an eye infection, all of that. He's a good one on that. So yeah, that's working fine. He doesn't necessarily like it, but he knows it's good for him, I think. Yeah, and it's been just a week of that for now so far. So we don't know yet how much better it's getting. The vet also gave us homeopathic drops to keep things in check, and apparently they can have many more happy years with those. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're hoping for the best. But today we are here to talk about Ultraviolet by As Everything Unfolds. The new album is coming out on April 21st. It has 11 tracks.
Or 10 plus a mid-tro.
Yeah, an intermission instrumental.
Yes.
Which is my favorite, by the way.
Yeah, and that one is special, but I think we'll come to that later.
We will, yes. We will. So what do you think about the album?
When I discovered As Everything Unfolds, that was shortly before their debut album, I was pretty hyped. I also liked the album a lot. The previous album is called Within Each Lies the Other. So my expectations were very high, and spoiler alert, it couldn't measure up to the expectations, but still, it's a very good album. I wouldn't say they failed with this one. I can see that they developed their style, and also they developed as musicians. So there are some new elements in there. I always say the musicians should make the music that they want to make. They are not out there to make music that I like. So I would have loved a second Within Each Lies the Other, but it's different from that, and that's also okay. I think the opener and title track is really strong. I am still in love with the song Felt Like Home. I think they released it already last year. For whatever reason, I love the keyboard that sounds like a German Schlager pop song. And also the choir elements are very cool. There is one song called Slow Down. I think they just released that one as a single a couple of days ago. And that is my favorite on the album. And that would have also fit on Within Each Lies the Other. So that reminded me a lot of that phase. And it has a very strong guitar solo. And speaking about guitars, also the riff in Saint and Rock is really, really cool. Yeah. I could listen to that all day. I want an instrumental version of that. And the guitar is something that I found really, really positive on the album. Even though Charlie Rolfe is one of my favorite vocalists and is also a really amazing vocalist who can do very, very many styles of vocals. Yeah, I really focus on the guitar, on the riffs, on the guitar solos by Adam Kerr. That's the guitar player. I found that interesting that even though I focus a lot on the vocals in this band, the guitar was what caught my attention the most. But still, the vocals are awesome as always, because Charlie Rolfe, as I said, does all styles that you can do. I think in some songs she even raps on the new album, and she has a really unique voice that is recognizable.
Also the variety, I think. There is more vocal variety there. Charlie has, I think, experimented combining more of the different vocal styles that she can do on this album a little more. I think one of the first ones, Felt Like Home. I think there are no harsh vocals in Felt Like Home, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And that was actually a surprise. I was surprised by that when that song came out last year. I also really like that one. And yeah, all of the things that she does with her voice in the whole of the album, Ultraviolet, is really cool. It's not boring at all. I really like that part as well.
As you just said, less screams on the whole album, and there are more electronics, and the whole album to me sounds more poppy and more catchy melodies. So as you might know out there, if you listen to this podcast for a while, I like screams and growls a lot. So I also miss that here. Yeah, but I listened to the album a couple of times. Flipside is another highlight that I like a lot because it's also really catchy, but also fast, and the style changes are really cool.
Yeah.
And the album also sounds better every time I listen to it. But also, I think the second half can catch the standard of the first half.
Right.
And on the previous album, the opener was outstanding. And here for me, it's the closer, All I've Ever Known, that sounds different and also brings new elements to the music. That's something I found really interesting, but still the second half is not so good.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. This is one of our hot takes, I think. One of our big statements that we have made in the past as well. When a band releases an album and everything that was released as a single before the album came out, that is the best part of the album, and the rest, the stuff that you haven't heard before, is not surprising you and catching you and impressing you, then that's sad.
Let's call that the electric call voice syndrome.
Okay, well, then Ultraviolet suffers of electric call voice syndrome, and not in a good way, sadly, because I agree with you that it's a good album. It's solid. It has a style that is different, but still, it shows the evolution of the band, and that style is consistent through and through, and that is cool. But of the previously unreleased songs, my favorite is the instrumental intermission. That tells you something. And it's not good. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
The second half of the album, as you said, after Flipside, it's just passing sounds. I don't even remember the songs much at all. And I mean, we just got the album to analyze on Tuesday. So it's been a week of hearing it nonstop, but maybe still not enough time for the album to grow on me. Maybe the album will grow on me later. I mean, there are still songs from their previous album, From Within Each Lies the Other, that I am finding that I really like 2 years later, right? Yeah. That have grown on me through time and listening, and the band appearing in my playlists a lot. And so that is also a possibility. But at this first deep dive, it's the singles that stand out the most. And for me, my favorite on that from those is also Between Felt Like Home and Blossom.
Mm-hmm.
I like, and with this, we can also go a little over to talking about lyrics. The very first phrase in Blossom, I think, is really beautiful. It says, "I know I'm not my best, but I feel it coming closer now." That is, I think, not only a nice statement and a nice feeling to have as a human, right? As humans, we should always strive to be better and to be self-aware of the personal growth that we make and are making. And even if it's not perfect, even if we're not perfect yet, we'll probably never be perfect, but just striving to be and to get closer to that, to my own personal best and to my own best self, is, I think, a very nice thing to have. But also that is one of the, I can't say that's the deepest thought in the album, not at all. But I do think that Within Each Lies the Other was way more philosophical. It was much more vulnerable. It was much more, I don't know, talking about, the dark sides of the soul, the psyche. For me, it felt like it was a lot of mental health work and self-work processed through lyrics and through music. And the lyrics in this new album, in Ultraviolet, are way more on the surface. It's more the emo teenage angst of everything sucks. And the previous album was more, this is a very complicated existence,
Yes.
Which hit a chord much better with me. And that's what I'm missing from this album. I'm missing a little depth, a little more personal connection, personal vulnerability. And I think that also is consistent with the music, though. As we were just saying, the previous album was a little darker and heavier.
Rougher.
And and this one is a little more upbeat, and which is also fun. I mean, we don't have to all the time be contemplating our existence, right? We can have fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree that the debut album was a little more impactful in my personal enjoyment of the band.
I also read an interview lately with Charlie Wolf where she also said that lyric-wise on this album, it's the situation we are in, and we also had a whole podcast episode about that there is so much going on at the moment, and the musicians are really young. So the impact that what is going on in the world right now has on younger people for sure is different than the impact on us. What you just said with the teenage angst, that might also play a role in here. But the loose concept of the album is also photography. So you can also see that on the title. Ultraviolet is the light that you need to make photos in an analog way. And the instrumental that you like so much is called infrared, which is the
infrared,
infrared light. Yes, and you have this light in the photo studios, I think. So the sounds that you can hear in this song are from the photo studio. Charlie Wolf recorded them in her studio, not the music studio, the photo studio. So you can hear the water, and you can also hear something clicking, which is the camera and stuff like that. So that's a really interesting song that you should pay more attention to when the album is out and all of you are able to listen to that.
Yeah, those are really nice details. Yes.
Yeah. The idea is really cool. And also to have this loose concept of photography and seeing life through a lens also maybe. And I know from my work as a journalist that when you see something through your camera, you feel distanced from that. You're not so touched by what you see in front of you anymore, because this camera just gives you the distance. You have something else you focus on because you think, okay, I want to take a good picture. And that also limits your emotions to what you see in front of you, at least for me. And I also heard from other journalists and photographers that it's the same for them. And maybe that's also something that unintentionally happened here on the album, why it might not feel so deep for us, why it just scratches the surface of things.
True. That's a very cool perspective and interpretation.
Yeah, so what else can I say? I also wouldn't call Ultraviolet a bummer, but my expectations were just too high, I think, after Within Each Lies the Other. And so, yeah, Ultraviolet just doesn't fulfill these expectations.
Yeah, maybe also it shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't have expectations at all. What? No, but there's also that in the music industry. I think it is a thing, actually, that bands feel a lot of pressure when they were successful with a debut album. They feel a lot of pressure to, it's the make it or break it with the second album kind of thing, and shouldn't be a thing. And as you said, musicians should never feel the pressure of wanting to, or the pressure of having to satisfy their audience or to do exactly what they want, like fan service. No, should not be a thing in their music. It is a pretty good album. It's solid. I will keep listening to it. See if I gain some love to the other songs. Also from the previously unreleased songs, Saint or Rogue is pretty good, but that one's also in the first half of the album. Yeah. But yeah, maybe the second half will grow on me at some point. And as you were saying, the last song on the album is a little bit different.
Yeah. And
hopefully that will be a little taste of what's to come in the career of As Everything Unfolds.
Yeah, that's also an important thing, that you can also hear what the band is able to do and what they might be able to do in the future, that there is still some room for them to grow. And I'm pretty sure that they will fill this with their creativity and everything. So As Everything Unfolds is a very, very interesting band. And I'm really thrilled to to see what or how they turn out in the future. So I really hope this is not the Break It album.
Yeah.
I hope there is a lot more music from them to come because, as I said, Charlie Wolf is a very great vocalist, and also Adam Keir is a very good guitar player. So I'd be happy to hear a lot of more songs by them.
And they are apparently really good live as well. I haven't had the opportunity of seeing them live just yet. I hope that changes soon. But they are indeed actually touring right now here in Germany. Yeah, so everybody out there, if you're in Europe, check out their tour dates. Maybe you'll be able to catch them and enjoy their live performance as well. Still give Ultraviolet a chance. It's coming out on April 21st, and it is cool.
Yes.
Listen to it.
Bye-bye.
Especially infrared. What? We will be talking to the band very soon as well, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to follow the podcast, the Bleeding Metal podcast, on Spotify, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to it. Tell your friends, bring them around. If you want to talk to us, you can join our Discord channel. In my server. That link will be in the show notes from now on forever. And you can also find the link on Instagram. Keep in touch. We'll be back.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.